Have you ever truly asked yourself who you are, not in the sense of your name, your profession, or your relationships, but in the deepest, most fundamental way possible? Who is the entity looking out from behind your eyes, the silent observer of your life, the one who experiences your thoughts and feels your emotions? And is this entity, this you, a fixed, immutable thing, a constant throughout the chaotic flux of existence? Or is it something else entirely, something more fluid, more malleable, and ultimately, more terrifyingly disposable? We live our lives under the grand illusion of the stable self. We believe that the person we were yesterday is fundamentally the same person we are today, and will be tomorrow. We cling to our memories, our past experiences, our learned behaviors and beliefs as if they are the very bedrock of our existence, the unshakable foundation upon which we build our lives. But what if this foundation is not a bedrock at all? What if it is a cage, an invisible prison constructed from the ghosts of your past, a prison whose bars are forged from your old failures, whose walls are mortared with your limiting beliefs, and whose ceiling is defined by the expectations others have placed upon you, and you have, in turn, placed upon yourself? This is the great, unspoken tragedy of human potential, that most people live and die within the confines of a self they did not consciously choose, an identity that was handed to them by their environment, their upbringing, their accidental encounters with pain and pleasure, a composite character cobbled together from fragments of past selves, a ghost driving the machine of the body. You try to improve, you read the books, you watch the motivational videos, you set the goals, you write the affirmations, you try to force new habits upon this old self. You are attempting to decorate the prison cell, to hang new curtains, to paint the walls a brighter color, hoping that a more pleasant-looking cage will somehow feel like freedom, but it never does it? The change is always superficial, temporary. The old patterns re-emerge, the old doubts creep back in, the old limitations feel as real as ever, because you are trying to change the prisoner's behavior without ever questioning the existence of the prison itself. You are polishing the chains and calling it progress. The fundamental error in all conventional self-help is that it operates on the premise of addition and improvement. It seeks to add new skills, new knowledge, new habits onto the existing structure of the self, but it never dares to suggest the only thing that will truly work, the only path to radical, permanent transformation, and that is the path of subtraction, of demolition, of complete and utter annihilation. There is a hidden law, a principle so profound and so ruthlessly effective that it is known and practiced, consciously or unconsciously, by every individual who has ever achieved a level of success that seems almost supernatural to the outside observer. It is the principle that governs the metamorphosis from the caterpillar to the butterfly, from the seed to the mighty oak, from the broken man on the floor to the master of his own destiny. This principle is called the law of identity death. It is the conscious, deliberate, and systematic process of killing your old self, of allowing the person you used to be to die, completely and without eulogy, so that a new self, an identity of your own conscious design, can be born from the ashes. This is not a metaphor for simple change. It is not about turning a new leaf. It is about burning the entire forest down and replanting a new one from a single, chosen seed. It is the understanding that you cannot pour new, exquisite wine into an old, cracked, and tainted bottle. You must first shatter the old bottle, discard the shards, and forge a new vessel worthy of what it is to contain. Think of the caterpillar. Inside its chrysalis, it does not simply sprout wings, it dissolves, it disintegrates into a nutrient-rich soup of imaginal cells, a state of complete formlessness, a living chaos from which the butterfly is then constructed. The caterpillar must cease to exist entirely for the butterfly to be born. There is no negotiation, there is no compromise, there is only death and rebirth. This is the model for profound human transformation. You cannot become the wealthy, disciplined, powerful version of yourself while still carrying the thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and energetic signature of the poor, undisciplined, and powerless version. The new identity and the old identity cannot coexist in the same space and time. One must be sacrificed for the other. The man you see in your mind's eye, the one who has the success, the freedom, the impact you desire, that man is not an upgraded version of you. He is a completely different person. He thinks different thoughts, he believes different things about himself and the world, he responds to challenges differently, he carries himself differently, he operates from a different level of consciousness. To become him, you cannot simply try to act like him, you must first eliminate the one who is not him. Which is the person you are right now. This is a terrifying concept for the ego, the part of you that identifies with the current self. For the ego, identity death is literal death. It will fight tooth and nail to preserve the status quo, to keep you safe in the familiar misery of the known prison. It will flood you with fear, doubt, and ridicule at the very thought of letting go. It will remind you of all the reasons why you can't change, of all the past evidence that proves you are who you are. It is the prison guard, and its primary function is to convince you that the walls are not only real but also there for your own protection. But the hidden rule of success dictates that this guard must be overpowered, this prison must be torn down, this old identity must be led to the gallows. The process is not gentle, it is a form of spiritual and psychological warfare waged against the deepest parts of your own being. It involves confronting the ugliest truths about yourself, about the stories you have told yourself, the lies you have lived, the compromises you have made. It is the process of looking at the crumbling figure on the floor in that image and recognizing it as yourself, not as a past failure, but as a necessary stage of demolition, the beautiful, messy, and painful act of coming apart, of shedding the layers of who you are not, so that the radiant core of who you are destined to become can finally emerge, unburdened and free. It is the understanding that the cracking and dissolving of your old form is not a sign of failure, but the very first sign of your impending success, the first tremor that signals the collapse of the old world and the dawn of a new one. The choice is stark. You can remain the curator of the museum of your past self, forever polishing the relics of who you used to be, or you can become the architect of your future self, willing to sacrifice everything you are for everything you could be. This is the first and most crucial step, the acceptance that to truly live, you must first be willing to die. The acceptance of identity death as a necessary law is the first gate, but walking through it requires an understanding of the anatomy of this process, a roadmap for the deconstruction and disintegration of the self. This is not a random act of chaos but a deliberate, surgical procedure performed on your own consciousness. It begins with the systematic identification and dismantling of the three pillars that hold up the structure of your old identity, your beliefs, your habits, and your emotional home. Your beliefs are the invisible architecture of your reality. You do not see the world as it is, you see the world as you are, and who you are is simply a collection of beliefs you hold to be true, beliefs about money, about your capabilities, about what is possible for you, about how the world works. These were not chosen by you, they were absorbed, inherited from your parents, your culture, your early life experiences. They operate as the unquestioned operating system of your mind, running in the background and dictating every choice you make, every opportunity you see or fail to see. The process of identity death, therefore, begins with a belief audit. You must become a ruthless inquisitor of your own mind. Take a belief that defines your current reality, for example, making a lot of money is hard, or I'm not the type of person who can be disciplined, or success is for other people, and you must place it on trial. You must ask, where did this belief come from? Who gave it to me? What evidence do I have that it is absolutely, universally true? What would my life look like if the opposite were true? The goal is not to argue with the belief, but to destabilize it, to see it not as a fundamental truth of the universe, but as a piece of inherited code, a second-hand opinion that you have mistaken for your own insight. You must create so much doubt around your core limiting beliefs that they lose their structural integrity. They begin to crack, to crumble, just like the figure on the floor. You poke and prod and question until the belief is no longer a solid wall but a fragile facade, ready to be torn down. The second pillar is your habits. Your habits are your identity in action. They are the automated behaviors of the old self. You are not a person who has habits, you are a person who is the sum of your habits. The person who endlessly scrolls on their phone is a different identity from the person who reads a book. The person who hits the snooze button is a different identity from the person who gets up at 5 a.m. to work on their goals. You cannot build a new identity on the foundation of old habits. It is an architectural impossibility. Breaking habits, in the context of identity death, is not about willpower. Willpower is the tool of the old self trying to force itself to behave differently. It is a finite resource that is quickly depleted. Instead, you must reframe the breaking of a habit as a ritual of severance. Every time you consciously choose not to perform an old, automatic behavior, you are casting a vote for your new identity. You are cutting a thread that connects you to your past self. It is an act of defiance against the ghost in the machine. Each instance of choosing the difficult, Conscious action over the easy, automatic one is a small death, a tiny explosion in the neural pathways of the old you. It is painful and uncomfortable because it is an act of self-annihilation at the micro level. You are literally forcing your brain to abandon its well-worn paths and carve out new, unfamiliar ones. You are turning your back on who you have been, moment by moment. The third and most powerful pillar is your emotional home. This is the familiar set of feelings that your body has become addicted to. For many people stuck in mediocrity, their emotional home is a mixture of anxiety, frustration, guilt, or apathy. Your body, through years of repetition, has become chemically accustomed to these states. Your cells have developed receptor sites that expect a regular dose of these stress hormones, so even when things are going well, your body will subconsciously create or seek out situations that generate these familiar, comfortable, negative emotions. This is why people self-sabotage when they get close to a breakthrough. Their body is having a withdrawal from its addiction to struggle and is trying to pull them back to the familiar emotional baseline of the old identity. Identity death requires an emotional detoxification. You must become consciously aware of the emotional states you live in and deliberately refuse to indulge them. When you feel the familiar wave of anxiety, you do not identify with it. You observe it as a chemical process, a death rattle of the old self, and you consciously choose to cultivate a new emotional state, the state of the person you want to become. Perhaps it is peace, perhaps it is gratitude, perhaps it is the feeling of sovereign power. This is the hardest part of the work, because it feels profoundly unnatural. It feels like a lie. You are sitting there, your external reality is unchanged, and you are trying to feel wealthy, to feel successful, to feel powerful. Your body screams in protest, your mind floods you with evidence of your lack. But you must hold the line. You must starve the old emotional self of its drug of choice and feed the new self with the emotions of your future. This process of deconstruction, of destabilizing beliefs, severing habits, and detoxifying emotions, leads you into a terrifying and necessary space, a state that can only be described as the void, or the liminal space. This is the point where the old identity has crumbled enough that it no longer provides a sense of certainty or safety, but the new identity has not yet solidified. You are no longer the caterpillar, but you are not yet the butterfly. You are the primordial soup in the chrysalis. You are formless, lost, confused. You don't know who you are anymore. Your old friends may not recognize you. Your old pleasures feel hollow. You feel a profound sense of dislocation, as if you are a ghost in your own life. This is the moment of maximum danger and maximum opportunity. This is the crucible, the dark night of the soul that every great transformation requires. Most people cannot tolerate the uncertainty and terror of this void. The emptiness feels like failure, so they retreat. They scramble back to the familiar ruins of their old identity. They re-embrace the limiting beliefs and destructive habits because at least they are known, at least they provide a sense of self. No matter how miserable that self is, they choose the certainty of the prison over the terrifying freedom of the unknown. But the masters of reality, the practitioners of identity death, understand that this void is not an error in the process. It is the process itself. It is the fertile emptiness, the sacred nothingness from which all creation springs. They learn to sit in the discomfort, to embrace the formlessness, knowing that it is the necessary prerequisite for the construction of a new, more powerful reality. They do not run from the void, they lean into it, for they know that only in the silent, empty darkness can the blueprint for a new dawn be truly seen. Surviving the void, the liminal space between who you were and who you are becoming, is not a passive act of endurance. It is the beginning of the most profound act of creation you will ever undertake, the conscious architecture of a new self. If part 2 was about demolition, part 3 is about construction, and the primary tool of this construction is not hope or hard work in the conventional sense, but a crystallized, immovable, and emotionally charged vision. This vision is the blueprint for your new identity. It is the architectural drawing from which you will build your new self, piece by piece. It cannot be vague, it cannot be a flimsy wish like, I want to be rich, or, I want to be successful. It must be a multisensory, high-definition movie of your future self in action. Who is this new person? What do they think about when they wake up in the morning? How do they walk? How do they talk? What is the expression on their face? What do they believe about their own power and potential? How do they handle setbacks? What is the feeling state they inhabit for the majority of their day? You must define this new identity with such startling clarity that it feels more real to you than the person you are right now. This vision is not a destination you are trying to reach, it is a person you are deciding to become, effective immediately. Once this blueprint is seared into your mind, the construction begins through the principle of embodiment, the process of acting as if. This is perhaps one of the most misunderstood concepts in all of personal development. It is not, fake it, till you make it, which implies a fraudulent act, a mask you wear to deceive others. Embodiment is a process of, be it, till you see it. It is an internal alignment. An act of being true to a future self that you have already decided is the real you. You are not faking it, you are rehearsing your future, you are living from the end. You begin to make decisions, not from the perspective of your current circumstances, your current bank account, your current limitations, but from the perspective of the person you are becoming. You ask yourself, what would the fully realized, successful version of me do in this situation? And then you do that. No matter how uncomfortable or audacious it feels. If a business opportunity arises, the old self, riddled with fear and scarcity, might hesitate and overanalyze, but the new identity, defined by courage and abundance, would assess it calmly and act decisively. You choose to act as the new identity, even when your heart is pounding with the fear of the old one. This is the work. It is the physical act of laying down new neural circuitry, of programming your body and nervous system to a new way of being. This process of embodiment is reinforced through the deliberate use of what are often dismissed as simple tools, affirmations and visualization, but when used in the context of identity death, they become something far more potent. They become tools of identity architecture. An affirmation is not a hopeful plea to the universe, it is a declaration of being. It is a command you are giving to your subconscious mind. When you say, I am wealthy, while your bank account is empty, you are not lying. You are overriding your past programming, you are installing new code, you are declaring allegiance to your new identity over the evidence of your current reality. The key is to feel the emotion of the statement being true, to bypass the critical, logical mind, which belongs to the old self, and impress the new truth directly onto the subconscious, the seat of your identity. Visualization is the mental rehearsal for embodiment. When you close your eyes and vividly imagine yourself living as your new identity, you are activating the same neural networks in your brain that would be activated if you were actually performing those actions. Your brain does not know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. With enough repetition, you are creating a memory of a future that has not yet happened. You are priming your brain and body to accept this new reality as familiar, so when the time comes to act in the real world, it no longer feels alien or terrifying. It feels natural, because you have already been there 1,000 times in your mind. This is a process of reprogramming from the inside out. You are deliberately choosing your new thoughts, your new beliefs, your new emotional states, and you are rehearsing them with religious discipline until they become your new nature. You are no longer at the mercy of your old, automatic programming. You are the programmer. This is the ultimate act of personal sovereignty. It is the transition from being a creature of circumstance to a creator of circumstance. You stop reacting to the world and start broadcasting a new signal, a new energetic signature from your state of being, and you hold that signal with unwavering faith, regardless of what the outside world is reflecting back to you in the moment. The construction phase is where you build the resilience to withstand the lag time, the inevitable delay between your internal shift and its external manifestation. During this period, you will be tested, your old reality will fight back, you will face challenges, setbacks, and a deafening lack of evidence that your work is paying off. This is the final test of the ego, the last attempt of the old self to reclaim its territory by showing you that nothing has changed, but the architect of a new identity understands this lag time. They know that a seed does not become a tree overnight. There is a period of unseen growth beneath the surface. They do not dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing. They continue to water it with their focus, their embodiment, and their emotional alignment. They hold the vision, they act as if, they feel the feeling, and they allow the laws of the universe to organize the external world around their new, solidified state of being. They know that construction is an act of faith, the faith of the sculptor who sees the angel in the marble and knows that he is not creating it, but merely chipping away everything that is not the angel. You are not creating a new you, you are revealing the true you that was buried beneath the rubble of a false, inherited identity. The culmination of this entire process, the final and most magical phase, is the point at which your external world begins to rearrange itself to match the architecture of your new, consciously constructed identity. This is the manifestation, the moment the world outside becomes a mirror to the person you have become on the inside. It is here that we encounter the ultimate hidden rule of success, a principle so profound it borders on the mystical. the world does not give you what you want, it does not respond to your desires, your hopes, or your pleas. The world gives you who you are, it reflects back to you, with ruthless and impartial precision, the sum total of your being, your dominant beliefs, your emotional home, your core identity. This is the principle of the quantum mirror. Your internal state of being is a vibrational signal that you are constantly broadcasting into the quantum field of infinite possibility, and the field can only respond by organizing itself into a reality that is a perfect match for that signal. A poor man is not a man without money, he is a man who inhabits the state of being of poverty. He broadcasts a signal of lack, scarcity, and fear, and the universe, like a perfect mirror, reflects back to him a reality filled with lack, scarcity, and things to be afraid of. A wealthy man is not a man with money, he is a man who inhabits the state of being of wealth. He broadcasts a signal of abundance, opportunity, and confidence, and the universe dutifully mirrors back a reality overflowing with those very things. This is why the law of identity death is the master key. By demolishing your old self, you stop broadcasting the old, unwanted signal. By consciously constructing and embodying your new self, you begin broadcasting a new, powerful, and coherent signal, the signal of the person who already has what you desire. You are not trying to get wealth, you are becoming the person who is wealthy. And then wealth appears as a natural byproduct, an echo, a shadow cast by your new state of being, the money. The success, the relationships, they are not the goal, they are the evidence, the inevitable consequence of a successful identity transformation. The lag time we spoke of is the time it takes for the old reflection in the mirror to fade and the new reflection to appear. When you change who you are internally, the external world, bound by the inertia of space and time, takes a moment to catch up. This period is the ultimate test of your faith in the law. You have become a new person internally, but the mirror of your reality still shows the face of the old you. This is where the weak falter. They look at the mirror, see the old reflection, and conclude that the internal change wasn't real. They say, "See, I tried to feel wealthy, but I'm still broke," and in that moment of disbelief, they revert to their old state of being, their old signal, and the mirror happily obliges by cementing their old reality. But the master understands the physics of it. They ignore the old reflection, they know it is just a ghost, an after-image of a person who is already dead. They keep their focus, their feeling, their entire being locked onto the new identity, knowing with absolute certainty that the mirror has no choice but to eventually, inevitably, reflect the new person who is now standing before it. This unwavering faith during the lag time is the final, non-negotiable ingredient for manifesting a new reality. Furthermore, it is crucial to understand that identity death is not a one-time event you perform to get from point A to point B. It is a cyclical process, a lifestyle of perpetual evolution. The person who becomes a millionaire through this process cannot stay a millionaire with the same identity that got them there. To become a multimillionaire, or a billionaire, or to reach the next level of spiritual or personal mastery, they must be willing to let the millionaire identity die as well. At every new level of success, there is a new identity to be shed, a new void to be entered, and a new, more expansive self to be constructed. Success is not a plateau you reach, but an infinite staircase, and the price of admission to each new step is the death of the self that got you to the previous one. The most successful people on earth are in a constant state of becoming, a constant cycle of death and rebirth. They are not attached to their accomplishments or their current identity, because they know that attachment is the anchor that prevents them from sailing to new shores. This is the ultimate secret, the hidden rule that separates the creators of worlds from the creatures of circumstance. Your life is the physical manifestation of who you believe yourself to be. If you wish to change your life, you cannot simply change your actions. You must change the you who is performing those actions. You must be willing to look at the person you are today, with all their stories, justifications, and familiar comforts, and you must be willing to say, you are no longer sufficient for the journey ahead. Your time is over. It is an act of supreme courage, of profound self-love, not for the self that is, but for the self that is calling to be born. So look at your life, look at the results. They are the perfect reflection of your current identity. If you are not satisfied with the reflection, do not try to change the mirror. You must have the courage to shatter the person looking into it. For in the death of who you are lies the birth of everything you want to be. That is the law.